25th of March 2023. I don't have numbers on my videos. I've got a serious knockabout by the way YouTube treated me, and I'm trying to adjust to that, and it's not easy to keep going, but the world is changing around me at such a speed, and I got great reaction on my electric cars thing. I'm not putting away electric cars. There were electric delivery lorries and milk floats 50 years ago. I'm just trying to let people judge it. Now, don't have people buying electric cars, wasting all that money, and then finding that they would never do it again. I'm trying to get it going now and counter some of the misinformation that's out there. The first thing to remember is the cars that we have, the diesel and the petrol cars, have evolved, and they've evolved for very good reason. They've evolved for very good reason because they're about the best model there is. You look at all the cars on the road, they're nearly all the same. The only recent development is the bigger wheels to raise them up because the sumps were getting damaged, and they had that problem. So they raised them up a little bit. That's really the only difference there is. I remember when there were Citroens, and they used to have hydraulic back suspensions, and when you start the engine, they'd lift up in the back, and they were flat on the bottom. They were funny looking things. And then there was the little mountainy goat, the Renault 4 was it, a little thing with a flat bottom, and they're still around yet. They were a great wee yoke, but they didn't catch on. In the end of the day, the design of the car that worked was the Toyota Avensis or the Audi, and these are nearly all the same. If you took the badge of them, you nearly wouldn't know the difference in these cars, one from the other. So it has evolved to that rate, to that size, and it's now evolving into the slightly bigger wheels and all of that. Now, about 1995, there come out of a brand of a car made in Russia called a Lada. They were cheap and they were cheerful, and they were actually a Fiat 131. They were a Fiat 131. And some people bought them, and they were advertised on Northern Sound and various local radios as a real cracker. Check out the Lada this and the Lada that. Now, the Fiat 131 was a bad car, and Fiat cars are bad cars. Fiat tractors are totally different to the best tractors there ever was. The bigger 6-cylinder Fiat tractor was a dream of a tractor. It was a real tractor. Now, the thing about it is that I have a Fiat 1990, and I wouldn't take anything for it. A great tractor. So the thing about it is that these Ladas came out, and they did make a bit of a dent for a while. But when people realised they were a load of junk, after 5 or 6 years, they were useless. They ended. You don't see them on the road. Where are they gone? Those that will comment underneath and say I'm wrong, where are they? They're not there. That's the high fact of it. There's an odd little Fiat about, not many. The other next thing that came on was the what do you call it now? Was the Daewoo. Now, the Daewoo was a brand of an earlier model of an Opel, a bit like an Opel Kadett on that, sort of a cross between an Opel Kadett and a Toyota Corolla, but they were really Opel parts that was in them, more or less, with a bit of, they were Korean make. And they were open, there was a big splash about 1999, and they were all set up to get into the millennium when the new millennium came in. And they didn't, the way they marketed them was, it wasn't go to your local dealers, it was, oh, there's Navan Daewoo, and Dundalk Daewoo, and Limerick Daewoo, and Cork Daewoo, and Cavan Daewoo, and Sligo Daewoo, as if this was a great thing, come on the scene, get in quick and get your car. But where are they now? Nobody bought them. People soon realised that they were a cod. Now, what I'm saying is with electric cars, that's what's going to happen. It's not whether you should buy one now or whether people are buying now. No matter how many are bought now when they're new, the question is really, how many will they buy as a second car? How many will sell their new 3-year-old electric car and buy another electric car? Now, just look at the misinformation that's been put about by government and the green rascals. First of all, I don't believe you can put a tow bar on any electric car. You cannot put a tow bar on any. And that includes the Mazdas, the Toyotas. I will check about the Toyota RAV sometime later and comment underneath. But that's a hybrid, remember. I'm talking about full electric cars. You can't put them on the Nissan Leaf. You can't put them on the Hyundai Kona. You can't put them on the Volkswagen Is it i3? You can't put them on it. So there's something you're not told. You could go in and spend your money and come out to go to put a drawbar to bring the lawnmower out to cut a bit of grass or hire a lawnmower, and you can't put the drawbar on it. So there is misinformation of the highest order. Why don't it tell you that? Secondly, with most of them, and definitely with the Nissan Leaf, you can't tow them. A friend of mine was at a football match. He's a mechanic. He doesn't bother with these, but he's a mechanic. And he saw a woman run out of battery, and they were going to tow her with a tractor to get her going. And he ran down and he stopped her, and she had to get a hoist to lift it up and get it home. If you tow them, you destroy them. Cavan County Council had one. I have yet to find out its make. I'll do work on that to find out. And they towed it, and it never went again. It's lying up at the back of an old shed somewhere, and it's just grass growing out of it. What I think is that the modern electric car, the fully electric and even the hybrid, are in the same bracket as the Lada and the Daewoo. They're not going to perform, they won't compete with even the most basic or rougher or poor quality petrol or diesel car. There'll always be a bit of petrol, there'll always be a bit of diesel. There may not be anything to charge them with. Now, I mentioned before about the problem with the module, the power distribution module, and I believe there's a video online, and I'll be putting a link to it underneath from some person down the country who is fixing them and repairing them and can do these modules. They're going well. So it's possible that over time there will be garages able to fix these, and I'll find out more on that. But the fact is, you're not being told the truth. With the internal combustion engine, you have all the experience going back for years. You can ask anybody, and they'll tell you, oh, I had one of them, they're junk. Oh, I had one of them, and they're great. And years ago, there was an Austin Allegro. They called it the All Agro because there was all the strikes where they made it in England. And years ago, there was the Austin Allegro, and there was another Austin as well. They weren't great cars. They were one of the last of the English ordinary cars, a follow-on from the Austin A40 and all those types of things, the Morris Minor. But anyway, those cars were given to the Gardaí. The Gardaí got a big load of them for patrolling, and it destroyed them. The agents that sold them, the garages, said that we made a big mistake ever to give them to the guards, because what happened was the guards had free assessment. The police, as the guards, they assessed them as they were using them for their duties, and they went home and they talked about it. And there were weddings and funerals, and people asked them, what's that car like? They're a load of junk, which they were a load of junk. So you see how the information that the guards got free because of the need to give them cars actually backfired, and the fact that the Austin Allegro sold to the police, to the Gardaí, did them harm. It actually gave them a form of bad advertising that was detrimental. Nothing could counter it. And I'm really in that position. I'm pointing out what I'm hearing. I'm my ears up to the ground, and if I hear something good about an electric car, I will tell you. I know a lady has a Nissan. Not a Nissan, I'm sorry about that. She has a Volkswagen, no, it's a Toyota RAV hybrid, 2.5 litre petrol engine. Now, who in normal circumstances 5 years ago would ever touch a petrol engine in a big vehicle? Maybe it's all right in a small vehicle. They wouldn't. But this thing is gobbling petrol, and she's not going back to buy it. So there was two things, God be good to me, Father used to say. You can't judge anything when it's new. You have to wait till it's used a bit and see what it's like at that stage. The second point is not how many people are buying electric cars, but how many people are buying them as the second car and the third car. That is the real test, and it's my view that they'll end up like the Lada and the Daewoo, stopping gaps and eventually being broke up in some yard. The Toyota RAV, which was a great diesel car, is nearly all plastic in the front. So that's my opinion. You can have a different opinion. You can count like that. I've countered that man that came on there and he said that I wasn't doing it logically. Maybe some of these problems will be overcome. Maybe they will, and if they are, I'll be the first to come along and adjust my videos for that reason. But for now, if anyone really relies on the car, please don't take the risk until you see how it goes. There's a lot of big companies buying them for their staff. That's good, because that gives a chance to test them out in reality. Why are the Garda Síochána, the Irish police, not using them? Why are the Irish Customs not using them? Why are the Irish Ambulance Services not using them? Why are the Irish Army not using them? Why are the politicians who are trying to force them down our throats not using them? Why is Eamon Ryan, the leader of the Green Party, driving a diesel van? What's that about? What's that about? Shane Ross bought one. We don't know how he's doing. I don't know, did he, has he yet? He was a TD. He lost in the election. So these are the real questions. It must do the purpose, the job. It must do the job. The vehicle must get you about. It must be reliably started, and it must run for at least, in my opinion, I'd like a car to run 18 years and then maybe consider scrapping it. Will it be going in 18 years? Are there any electric cars that were built long ago still running? These are the big points. And you people can help in this by inquiring. Ask people, how are they getting on? What do you think of this? As I say, a lady who has a company car, a Volkswagen, I think it's i3, says it's quite good. She likes it. It's good, and so far so good. But the car is only a year and a quarter old, so we'll soon see. And then that too, there may be certain models comes up as better. Some people brag the Tesla is great. Maybe it is, and some people pick some of them as good. Now there's the issue of them going on fire. There's the issue of the repair and all of these. This has to be all assessed. Don't listen to the hype. We have to assess. Go into your ordinary garage if you have a diesel car and ask them, can you fix electric cars? And most of them won't touch them. Ask them that question. That's the basic stuff. Ask around. If you see someone driving one and you think you know them, inquire, what do you think? But there's no point in asking someone with a 3-month-old car, what do you think? They're a lovely car to drive when they're new for a while. Definitely, there's no point in asking people that. And take everything into account, including the fire hazards. See, can you get insurance? In Canada, you can't park them in your garage because the insurance is void by them. So these are all things to be added up. And as the commentator did say, there's faults with other cars as well. There's other cars which are a loaded junk as well, and I had some of them. Okay, but most of them will get you over the 10 or 12 years. But recently, I think cars are not doing that long. Even the best of them are not doing all that long. Although I know people with Audi A4s in 2002 and they're going great. I see an odd Toyota Corolla petrol about 1998. I mean, there's some cars, I'm telling you, there's some cars. So that's it. I think it makes sense there. It's be careful. And the main point for me is forget the hype. We don't want hype from RTE or anyone else. We don't want baloney about your green agenda. We want to know what these cars are like in every way, including is the electricity to charge them, which I doubt, including the cost of that electricity, and including the repair and all of that. And if you today can buy a good car for 12,000 in 2014, you'll get a good Toyota, a good car of any make, Audi or anything else, for 14,000. If you can get one of them and keep it well, change the oil in it and the filter and all that, well, you have transport. Once you have a drop of diesel or petrol, you're away. So these are things to take into account. And the other thing to take into account, can you be waiting around a charging point? What are you going to do with your time? I couldn't stand around waiting at a charging point. So charging at home is the only viable way, and already that's a big problem for the Kona and the Leaf, because the modules are going like hell for some reason. Folks, that's it. Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down and keep the chat going, because it's very important that we have this conversation going and we arrive and cut across all the hype and get the real facts, get the real experience, and then make your decision, because it's a huge decision. It's the second thing after buying a house, buying a car. We'll see you back for something else. Bye. Good luck.